We have 45,000 followers on Facebook. Nobody else really has that. There was a time in social media when you could really grow your platform significantly, and now it's a lot more competitive. So I think maybe there were a couple of years when we could have been more serious about our social media presence. Um, but I think that you can fall in love with the idea of running a company, but you need to make sure that in your bottom line that you're making money.
Hello, this is Mitch Tarr. I'm the founder and CEO of Zen Marketing Inc. We help e-commerce stores, WooCommerce stores, BigCommerce stores, and others to increase their revenue using email marketing. We do it all day long. It's all we've been doing for 18 years. We're pretty good at it. But the real news is today I'm interviewing Laura Lavon. She is from Mosaic Weighted Blankets.com. She has a story to tell of the classic I couldn't find a solution, so I made one myself. It's an excellent backstory for those of you that are new to business. It always goes to show you there's space in every market because not every problem that ever existed is solved. And even as new problems are cropping up, there aren't always solutions. So make your own. There's always room in the market. Enjoy. Hi, Laura. Thanks for joining us today.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. It must be getting close to noon in Texas, yeah?
It is. I'm in Austin.
Oh, I love Austin. Love Austin. So we want to talk about your business, Mosaic, the weighted blanket company that you've been working on for a number of years. I think maybe the first thing, let's just start by telling us how you got it started. What was the catalyst to get you into that market?
Okay, so I'm a twin, and when I was born, I had multiple blood transfusions. My mother was Rh negative. So as a result, I think when I came into the world, I probably have ADHD and ADD and maybe kind of sensory processing disorder. So I like having weight on me. And I was always a good student. I had horrible handwriting. I had a terrible desk. But, I'm over 60. So back in the 1970s in elementary school, they didn't have any kind of label for that. It was just like, oh, that kid, there were a few of us, right? So anyway, when I was in college, I really wanted to get into this big dorm room, to a big dorm group, right? So that summer I got into the big dorm group and found that for somebody like me, it was a nightmare. There were people running up and down the halls. Music was on 24/7. So one night in frustration, I took my Riverside Shakespeare. I have a degree in Roman Empire and Roman history. I'm a liberal arts person. So I took my Riverside Shakespeare, which weighed about 15 pounds, and put it on my feet. And I slept that night. So I never forgot about that. So as I had kids and got older, I would put books on my foot up at soup cans. It was just kind of ridiculous. So I found these ladies that sewed, and they worked for a church, and they made me a blanket out of sandbags. And the minute that I got the sandbags and cheesecloth and put them into this cotton quilt with, these little panels, I slept that night like I'd never slept before. I mean, I woke up covered in sand, but I went on and found the poly pellets. And then I figured out that, I don't know, about 2012 or 13, that was kind of the launch of the weighted blanket onto the market. And I was one of the first people that ever did it. And I've talked to thousands of special needs parents and people that are looking up for a blanket. I understand the market deeply. I understand why people need to treat their sensory issues or what's important to them, and how some people wouldn't want a weighted blanket to save their life. Everyone's very different. So that's part of my business, and I'm still in business today. I do USA made products. I pay a living wage to my seamstresses, and that's important to me. I don't have everything in a warehouse from China, right? Like we make it here. And as a result, I can have different patterns, different colors, different sizes. I make custom blankets for people. I just made a Seattle Seahawks blanket for somebody and a Detroit Lions. And so like one of the couples going to have a cooling blanket with the covers. They're going to have different covers. So, I mean, there's a lot of individualization about my business, and I really enjoy it. But that's how it got started, and I've been around it a long time.
So that's a classic problem solving. Like you had a problem, you solved it, you understand the market because of it. How did you transition from I helped myself and I could therefore help others?
Well, I figured out how significant the comfort was for me. And so I basically just looked for fabric and I just translated it into a product that would work. And I've done that a couple times. But this was kind of my first iteration. But I will say, when I went into the market in 2013, it was really ripe for a good manufacturer of weighted blankets. So, like, I worked with the veterans department. I just was invited into all these things and I just kind of envisioned this. And then we found the poly pellets that would work. And so there I was in business. But I really just took a leap of faith. I didn't know if anybody that would really buy them or not. And I had a man do my product. He did my website and he was on the spectrum. He was really brilliant. And he quit high tech about 2 years later and went in to be a wine sommelier. And then he went to law school, to give you some idea. But he did a great job with our website, and we ended up on the first page of Google for the first 5 years we were in business. So I'm very fortunate. I just walked into the market at a good time. And I've had people
Yeah.
approach me about, oh, let's do backpacks or let's do that, or makeup bags or whatever. And I'm a very niche space and we do this really well. And I feel that that's been one thing that has helped me be successful.
Yeah. Is there competition or is there anybody else doing what
Yeah,
you do?
there's competition. Yes, I have competitors. I had competitors that ordered a weighted blanket from me back in 2014 or 15, and then they went into business. But most of people do their stuff in China. There's some USA made, but I'm kind of the main standing lone one that does that now.
So, aside from being made in the USA, what other sorts of things do you do to look different from the rest of the market?
Well, we have a variety of fabrics and patterns and weights. So we make like these little like lap pads that go in your lap. So it's like a butterfly batik on one side. I probably have 15 fabrics for this, right? Different fabrics. So we make them in solid colors and then we make them in different patterns. Have you ever do you know what a batik is? A batik is this is a hand pressed fabric from India. They're
Yes.
made in India. So I probably have 6 or 7 patterns of batik, and then I pair it with a solid on the other side. So that distinguishes us in the market. I do minky blankets, which are kind of different. Like this is a lavender minky wrap. So I make these. We have hairdressers and different people that like these. You can wear these over your shoulders. You can just put it down your body to go to sleep or put it on your legs. I think everyone has a different sensory spot, but I make these in the major colors, like camel latte, gray, blue, black, pink, and then we use this minky fabric. Like we also make blankets with those. So I would say my main differentiation in the market is that my stuff isn't all gray and industrial and come in 3 colors. It comes in a variety of colors. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And then we have a cooling fabric. We have a patented cooling fabric called Cool Max. A lot of the population is really hot sleepers, and people sleep hot at different times of their life, right? Like some people are, hot sleepers when they're little kids, but we're able to offer to that hot sleeper market this cooling Comex fabric that we have. And then everything that I sell is 100% cotton, except for the minky fabrics. I believe that people need to sleep under cotton because it's comfortable and it makes you sleep better. And it's just overall a better approach to sleep. That's my opinion. Some people say bamboo sheets. Some people say tinsel or whatever. But to me, as a sensory individual, like I've got on this blouse and it's polyester satin, and I'm kind of like, "Ugh." Like I'd rather have on cotton. So I believe strongly in the breathability of cotton. I think that sets our products apart.
Yeah. So, as part of your customer journey, is there a lot of education required, or you do find yourself educating people along the way? Or do
But
they come to you sort of knowing?
we do talk to people on the phone all the time. And I do think that, like there's a lot of information, of course, with the big word AI, other stuff like how do you wash a weighted blanket? What's the best size for you? I came out with an article in 2013 from an OT, and it was like, you need to have 10% of your body weight, and it needs to be your ideal body weight to get the best benefit from your weighted blanket. Usually you can get 10% of your body weight plus 1 to 2 pounds. Now, there are people on the spectrum, or there are people that want really heavy weighted blankets, but I feel that we're constantly educating people. I just went to my warehouse and we had 3 returns, and one of them was from a 135-pound woman who told me that on the phone, and then she went in and ordered a 20-pound blanket. She thought, "Oh, man, I'm just gonna knock this out of the park, right? I'm gonna get this." It's like buying the luxury mascara, right? Well, the blanket was too heavy for her, and she felt like she was laying under a fence, and so she didn't get the right product, and so she returned it. So the weight requirements are important. But I mean, yeah, I educate customers, but we have blogs and videos and YouTube, and we had tackled that from a number of perspectives. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of interest in weighted blankets, and there's a lot of information out there about weighted blankets, and we use that in our IT to rank on Google for those terms, and rank in searchability through all the things that you do to make yourself searchable.
Yeah. So that would suggest you've got a good quality SEO strategy in place.
We do. Yeah, we've had one. Now it's changed because, everything has happened. AI's come in about the last 6 months. So I think if any retailer tells you that they haven't been affected by that, I think they might need to readdress that issue. But yeah, we have standard advertising avenues that we use that are, pretty, pretty standard. I think what everybody does.
Yeah. For new customers, then you told me about a number of products. Do people go through sort of a same or similar path in buying repeat orders from you? Like if I start with a weighted blanket, am I most likely to buy another weighted blanket, or is there some other product that I would follow up with?
So I think it's important for business owners to know that if somebody comes to your website and they look at your website and they like it, be prepared for Christmas or for birthday, because they're going to come back and buy that for that person that they love, right? So your website needs to be well laid out and needs to be easy to find. I do have repeat customers that have bought a weighted blanket and it has worn out. So they will come back and not buy another blanket. We work with hospitals. We work with the Veterans Administration. We work with different vehicles that will order a cover for the weighted blanket, and the blanket will last longer because they'll cover it, with a washable cover. But I pretty much feel like if you're going to go, like if you said, "Hey, Mitch, I'm going to go find a weighted blanket for like me or for my daughter or for my wife," you would buy one and it's kind of a one for one purchase. It's like I'm doing this shampoo now, which is repeat purchases every month. It's very different. Once you buy this product, you kind of do have it.
Yeah. How many SKUs do you have on your website, on the Mosaic site?
Well, that's hard to answer because we have different weights and sizes. We partner with an APO package on the back because when you go order a child's blanket, it gives you like the weight and the size. So you can do children's, throw, twin, full, queen, king in different fabrics. So it's kind of complicated. But I would say we carry 5 blankets, 5 sizes of blankets. Well, what's that? 6 sizes of blankets. And then we carry about 5 different accessories, but they're in different fabrics and different patterns.
Yeah. In terms of product development, are you constantly looking at new things that could be relevant to your clients?
Yeah, I just developed something. So I joined a ukulele club and I'm a singer and I've been a singer for life. And I really, someday when I die, God may say, "What happened to that talent? Why didn't you do more with that talent?" So I'm in this ukulele group and I really like it. And we have a lady that we co-shared a space with for our manufacturing, and she was a classical guitar player. So she came to me and said, "Laura, my classical guitar, when I put it on my knee, it hurts to hold that classical guitar the whole time and do all this stuff." So we've come up with these, and they're little, it just goes on your lap, right? And so when you have your ukulele or your guitar, you have a weight underneath it. Ukuleles are pretty lightweight. Nobody in my ukulele class has really fallen in love with it. But with the guitars, we're thinking about launching this. I mean, I'm pretty, these little scarves are real popular, and I get cold now. I didn't used to get cold, but I went to a event and I had just one of those little, I don't know, like Western scarves. They're just like, 5 by 5 or 6 by 6, right? So I pulled like, I don't know, 15 different fabrics and we're making those. and we're going to sell those over this summer and run those to some of the Austin retailers or just kind of make them for friends and family. So yeah, my creative bone is always running, but I haven't, I mean, I did launch this shampoo, right? But I haven't really, I mean, we had the main accessory set by about 2017, and that's kind of what we've had for a long time. So, oh, but we are carrying sheets now, like organic sheets and organic mattresses. So if you go to our website, I do need to work on the marketing for that. But if you go to our website, there is a section where you can order USA made beautiful organic sheets, pillowcases, just the basics like a mattress, that type of thing. So
Yeah. So when you look at products like that, the sheets, for example, do you look at that as a customer acquisition product, meaning it would bring people to you for the first time? Or are they more of a back end product that once people have a weighted blanket, they would also consider sheets and
people like to buy stuff, right?
pretty
So
much?
if you go into a mattress store, I went into the mattress store and I've been in, about every, I don't know, however often you get a new mattress, I get a new mattress. And I've changed them up, right? Like I've, used to have Beauty Rest and then I went with more of the pure materials or whatever, less plastics or whatever. But anytime I've gone in there, I've ended up like a mattress topper. And, people like to buy stuff. So if you have a good offering on your website and it can come up at the right time and people see it, especially around the holidays and stuff like that. I mean, through your email, you can do so much targeted email too. Like, it's graduation time, get your kid a new set of sheets, for their dorm room or, there's just ways to turn. I'm not saying you need to have categories of products that are non-related on your website because I'm in the sleep mental health space, right? Like that's my space. So I think if you're in one genre, you have a chance to upsell if you carry more products related to that.
Yeah. No, I would tend to agree with that. The business model is always stronger if there's a continuity of, they start in one place and then they have other reasons to come back to you again.
And customers are all different. A customer that calls, I have this like 75-year-old ballerina in Houston that has had health problems and all that. So, like we, like she gets one thing and, I talk to her about once a year. She buys stuff for her grandchildren, and like she's just going to buy that one thing. And then you have other people that people buy weighted blankets like for their whole family at Christmas. We'll come in with the order of 5 or 6 or 8, And so there we are. We got to get all those fabrics and all that made for that one person. So
Yeah. Wow. So tell me about in the last couple of years, has there been anything that has surprised you in terms of marketing challenges that you faced that you didn't expect maybe?
I think the metrics and the cost of being on all the platforms, the thing from kind of being on the top of Google and people know who you are and, I mean, it's just, younger buyers, newer buyers, social media, you just have to be on all the social media platforms. And so you have to have socials, but if you're going to sell, you need to be prepared to sell on those. Like TikTok recently changed. You used to be able to do FMA, which is fulfillment, like Amazon has FBA, which is fulfilled by Amazon, and then they have FMA, which is fulfilled by seller, right? And so TikTok forever, you could like sell a bottle of shampoo or sunglasses or a teddy bear or whatever and fulfill it yourself. When they were purchased like 2 months ago, they gave everybody like 3 to 4 weeks to get into the FBA mode. And it's not even a possibility to manage your own fulfillment. So I think you need to be prepared to sell on different platforms. And then your ads are different than your social media. You need to have social media no matter what you're doing. You need to tell people what you're doing and have followers. But on top of that, you have an added benefit because you can sell directly to your customer on all these platforms, but then you have to manage it. You have to have socials. You have to have creative content. Facebook content changes about every 2 to 3 weeks. So whereas you used to run one ad through your Facebook spend on Meta, now you have to constantly create new content every like 2 to 3 weeks, or you get what's called creative fatigue. And then they don't run your ad anymore because they're saying that your audiences are just seeing the same thing over and over again. So I do recommend that, keep your ads fresh and, there's great platforms like Backstage where you can hire, people that like represent products or people that are actors or actresses, or you can work with influencers. Sometimes influencers tend to be a little bit more, pricey, or what they want is different. But the more people you can get to show your product for product reviews and then to sell on the appropriate platforms and then parallel that purchase with your social media, I think you're going to be successful. But you can't just build a website and think everybody's going to come look at it. Like, that just doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah. So with all the platforms out there, how do you prioritize where you spend your time?
Well, I think every product is different, and I think every market is different. You know, like I said, weighted blankets are real niche, and there's only so many people that really sell them. I mean, like there's probably 1,000 companies that sell knives, right? So if you're like, my son is 23, and he's into the whole, what is the knife that flips around where you do the up down, you throw the knife. It's like, okay, so he's got a little TikTok page and page on Instagram where he's doing that, right? And he's just very personable and he looks great on camera, but he's just showing himself doing this knife, and he's building up to a market where he's going to be able to sell that. So as far as prioritizing, I have things that I just always run day up and day down, like bread and butter. I mean, like right now from 2000, I don't know, we have some masks, some sleep masks, right? So right now we're giving away a free organic sleep mask with purchase. So we're gonna do that for 3 months, and then we'll change it up to somewhere else. But I mean, I think you also need to see which channel makes you the most money, right? Like, I do real well on Pinterest. I don't think everybody can say that, but that's a real good ROI for us. And then I have a special needs magazine that I advertise with, because people find out their child's on the spectrum and they're going to want to order a weighted blanket. So I think you need to find, other than just the big channels, you need to really find what works for you. And you can either do it yourself or you can hire an agency to do it. It just depends. But once that money from the agency's gone, like, you're not going to get it back. So I hire interns every semester, and a lot of that paddle wheeling is done by those interns, cranking out
Yeah.
content and making sure that that is working.
Yep. So tell me about if you were to, give yourself advice, give your younger self advice about the various stages of this business. What would you advise yourself to do?
Take a buyout earlier.
You mean started earlier?
That was one. And then I think there was a time when, like, we have 45,000 followers on Facebook. Nobody else really has that. There was a time in social media when you could really grow your platform significantly, and now it's a lot more competitive. So I think maybe there were a couple of years when we could have been more serious about our social media presence. Um, but I think that you can fall in love with the idea of running a company, but you need to make sure that in your bottom line that you're making money. Like, how much your product costs, how much it costs to get to market, you're keeping current with like your state filings, for to stay current. And then you're also running your tax report and you're running your P&L, so you see where you are like every month. So because sometimes you can fall in love with running a company, but you need to make sure that you're doing the right things to stay ahead of the game and make money. I think that.
Yeah. At the end of the day, a lot of businesses are their personal projects, like yours started out, but ultimately, to be a business, there has to be money at the end of the day to make. I mean, might not be the primary driver, but it has to be the primary result or one of the primary results, I think.
Yeah, and I mean that, I mean, we've done well, right? That, this is a great niche market. It's really great. But I just think that keeping your eye on the ball and just making sure, like, the Minky's very expensive to carry, and I carry Minky and it's hard to get through other places, but I'm kind of basing like our pricing and some stuff. We had to change that because the cost of Minky went up, right? And so I've had to really kind of look at that and be, oh, can we still offer that? Is there still a profit in that? Because it's expensive per yard. So that's just an example. Just make sure, if you have a good relationship with your accountant and, pull all the right reports, you'll figure out, where you're headed. You just don't want to sell something and spend like $20,000 on a launch and like a year later you're not making any money, or you spend all your money on the launch. You have to really think about how you spend your money. That's how I feel. Yeah.
Well, it's funny, after doing a series of these interviews, that doesn't always come up.
Really?
So it's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting to me. Laura, thank you very much for your time and thoughts today. Some of your concepts and ideas are really solid, and that'll help people. So really appreciate you helping out. I hope you enjoyed that and found some information in there that is actionable and helps you to grow your business. As you may or may not know, it's in marketing. We've been doing email marketing for companies for 18 years now. And we know a thing or two because we've learned a thing or two. But I want to make you an offer. The first thing we do when we take on a new e-commerce client is to build out their welcome series. It's not flashy, but it is consistently one of the largest revenue generators of all the flows that we install. And most brands don't have a good one. So if you feel like you might not have a good one, I want to give you a head start. Send me your site. Just send me an email to mitch@zinmarketing.com. And I'm about a custom welcome series flow for your brand. The flow, the angles, all the copy that you use. Basically enough material to basically make it live. Free money, if you will. Just done for you. No strings attached. I'll send everything back via email. Send an email to mitch@zinmarketing.com. Free welcome flow.